According to a recent Fortune magazine survey, 42% of startups say that they did not evaluate the market's need for their products or services before launching, and unfortunately, this keeps recurring. Bolaji Fini, CEO Techpreneur Africa, founded with the support of the MIT Legatum Center for Development and Entrepreneurship and the MasterCard Foundation, is passionate about building high-growth companies in Africa, joins us to discuss how African tech startups can scale up using technology as the launchpad.
What do you think are some of the strengths of our ecosystem today?
Undoubtedly, the primary strength that we have in this ecosystem is our entrepreneurial spirit. I think having studied different ecosystems across the world, it's difficult to find any ecosystem that has the type of entrepreneurial spirit we have here in Nigeria. Whether you're looking at corporate or young entrepreneurs, everybody has a business or a business idea that they're waiting to get out. So undoubtedly, the entrepreneurial spirit is our primary strength.
You know, but oftentimes I hear people talk about the fact that we usually lack focus. From your experience with other regions, is that true?
I wouldn't go as far as to say focus. I would generally say that everybody's trying most people are trying different things in order to see what works. People want to grow their business, they want it to scale, and then they are frustrated in their attempts to scale, so they try different things. Yes, there is a lot of people doing early stage startup businesses, many of them, and it would be great for them to be able to focus on one and help it scale. But I believe that the answer is in scaling successfully that will lead to type of focus. It's not necessarily the focus in itself or lack of. I think it's more of the lack of skill that's leading to people to try different things in order to grow big business.
So scaling, do we need funds to scale a startup?
You need funds to scale a startup, but you don't need it's not the primary focus that you need. It's not the primary focus. You have different requirements to scale a startup. You need to be able to have the skills. You need to have a proper business plan and business model to know what you're trying to do. You need to understand your market as well. Funds are also needed, but not the primary requirement. They're important, but not the number one requirement, in my opinion.
Do you recommend that we have one key ecosystem, for example, like Yaba, or you recommend that we have various across the country?
Absolutely decentralized clusters. We don't need to have one. I mean, we're a country of ecosystem in itself is possible. I don't believe it's even feasible. I don't believe it's effective. Using natural, organic, grown economic clusters have always been seen all over the world to be the way to go. And when I say organic, I mean we don't necessarily have to identify one place from the outside and say, you know what, we want to make this a cluster. No, we will let clusters evolve. Computer Village was not identified as a cluster. It evolved naturally. And I believe that we have more academic clusters, the academic clusters around Yaba have a natural gravitational pull towards a certain type of entrepreneurship. Let the clusters evolve and let's follow where it is. And then let's also support where people have aggregated naturally, as opposed to pulling them into a region which is more expensive and also a lot more difficult.
I know you operate across a number of African countries. Countries like Kenya and Rwanda, even South Africa, they seem to be taking technology much more seriously. What do you have to say about that?
I think based on the fact that we have a lot of young techpreneurs across the continent in itself, I would say that yes, they're doing great things in the likes of Kigali, in the likes of Nairobi. Accra is doing some great things. You have Cape Town, Johannesburg doing some great things as well. I think what it is that we have taken for granted for a very long time the amount of other things that people are doing in this industry. We tend to be very cyclical and very focused on what is reigning, quote unquote. You find a lot of people who are interested in oil and gas because that was our primary export. You find a lot of people who are interested in telco-related business because that was the trend of the day. Right now, technology seems to be making its waves, and if you look on the basis of investment in tech startups in the last year,